Your roadmap to the latest in auto. Welcome to Highway Herald. Buckle up, gearheads. The global economy just hit a major speed bump. A high-stakes trade war is back, with President Trump imposing a 10% tariff on Chinese imports and a 25% tariff on Canada and Mexico. China retaliated with a staggering 75% tariff on U.S. goods, sparking an all-out economic battle. The auto, tech, and energy industries are bracing for impact. What does this mean for the cars we drive? Let's break it down. Number 7. The auto industry faces a rough road ahead. The automotive industry is at the center of this economic standoff, and manufacturers are feeling the heat. The looming 25% tariff on imports from Canada and Mexico poses a massive challenge for automakers like General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis, which rely on seamless cross-border supply chains to keep production efficient. In 2023 alone, over $110 billion in auto trade flowed across North America, with components crossing borders multiple times before final assembly. Now, with tariffs driving up costs, production is about to get more expensive and complicated. What's the next move? Automakers may reroute production, shift supply chains, or renegotiate supplier contracts. But none of these options come cheap. And guess who ultimately pays? Car buyers. Expect higher sticker prices, fewer incentives, and slower sales, affecting dealerships, mechanics, parts suppliers, and the entire industry for years to come. Number 6. China's Counterpunch. Rare earth metals on lockdown. If the US thought tariffs would go unanswered, China had other plans, and they're targeting a critical resource: rare earth metals. These elements aren't just science-class trivia. They power everything from EV batteries and smartphones to fighter jets and military tech. The real shocker? China controls nearly 60% of the world's supply. Now, in direct retaliation, China is tightening its grip on rare earth exports to the US, sending tech giants, defense contractors, and automakers into panic mode. The fallout? A tech and auto supply crunch like never before. US EV makers rely heavily on Chinese battery materials. If those supplies dwindle, expect delays, price spikes, and a desperate scramble for alternatives. Some companies are exploring domestic mining, recycling, or alternative compounds. But none of these solutions happen overnight, meaning EVs, smartphones, and defense tech could face a major slowdown. Number 5. The EV Showdown. US versus China in a high-voltage war. The electric vehicle market has become a high-stakes battleground, and tariffs are cranking up the voltage. The US just hit Chinese EVs with a 100% tariff, aiming to shield domestic brands like Tesla, Rivian, and Ford. But will this move supercharge the US EV sector or stall progress? Here's the dilemma. China's EV industry is miles ahead in affordability and government backing. Their state-subsidized manufacturers churn out EVs faster and cheaper than American brands. Blocking Chinese imports limits affordable options for US consumers, possibly slowing EV adoption. It doesn't stop there. Many American EVs rely on Chinese components, especially batteries. With tariffs driving up import costs, even US automakers face price hikes and supply chain headaches. The result? A stalled EV rollout, pricier models, and delayed charging infrastructure, a potential roadblock for mass EV adoption in the US. Before we delve deeper, we'd appreciate it if you could subscribe to Highway Herald. Your support fuels our passion to create more content like this. Now let's explore number 4. The semiconductor crisis. The chip shortage strikes again. Just as the global chip shortage was starting to ease, the trade war threatens to bring it roaring back. Semiconductors, the brainpower behind modern vehicles, smartphones, and even medical equipment, are now caught in the tariff battle. The US is doubling tariffs on Chinese semiconductors from 20.5% to 50% by 2025, pushing for more domestic production. But China isn't backing down. It's considering export restrictions on key materials needed for chip manufacturing, potentially crippling global supply chains. For the auto industry, this means higher costs, longer production delays, and potential vehicle shortages, especially for tech-heavy models packed with digital dashboards, ADAS, and electric powertrains. The CHIPS Act aims to ramp up domestic semiconductor production, but building self-reliance takes time. Until then, automakers, tech firms, and medical industries will be scrambling to navigate these new supply chain hurdles. Number 3. The energy market turbulence, shifting alliances and economic uncertainty. The trade war is shaking up the energy sector, with China slashing American oil imports, leaving US producers scrambling. Just as the US secured its spot as a key crude oil exporter, this sudden drop in demand from a major buyer is disrupting the market. With fewer international buyers, oil surpluses could push domestic prices downward, squeezing profit margins for American energy companies. But beyond economics, China is strengthening ties with Russia and Middle Eastern energy giants, reshaping global alliances and further isolating U.S. producers. The U.S. now faces a critical decision: double down on fossil fuel production to protect energy independence or accelerate the transition to renewables to stay competitive in a shifting global landscape. The choices made today will define America's energy future for decades to come. Number 2. Medical supply chain strain, healthcare costs on the rise. The medical industry has become an unexpected battleground in this trade war, with a 50% tariff slapped on Chinese medical supplies like syringes, needles, and PPE. While the goal is to reduce reliance on foreign-made essentials, the immediate fallout is far more complex. These tariffs drive up costs for hospitals, clinics, and consumers, making healthcare even more expensive at a time when affordability is already strained. Beyond rising prices, supply chain disruptions could lead to shortages of critical medical supplies, leaving the healthcare system vulnerable, especially in emergencies. The COVID-19 pandemic exposed the dangers of depending on a single supplier. While the U.S. is ramping up domestic production, building a self-sustaining medical supply chain takes time. Until then, the healthcare industry must balance rising costs, supply gaps, and patient care without compromising quality or accessibility. Number 1. A global economic shift. The domino effect of trade tensions. The US-China trade war isn't just a clash between two superpowers. It's reshaping global markets, triggering trade realignments, shifting alliances, and financial uncertainty. In response, the European Union has slapped tariffs of up to 45.3% on Chinese EVs, echoing the US stance. Across the world, nations are rethinking trade dependencies. Japan and Taiwan are boosting domestic production, while others search for alternative suppliers to reduce reliance on China. With new economic blocs emerging, the global supply chain model is being rewritten. Governments are investing in regional trade networks, tech advancements, and infrastructure to shield themselves from future conflicts. However, increased self-reliance comes at a cost. Global trade efficiency weakens, raising expenses for businesses and consumers. As tariffs escalate and countermeasures unfold, the world economy faces a critical turning point. Will it emerge stronger or more fragmented? Where does the trade war end? A future of resolution or continued chaos? With the US and China locked in an economic standoff, industries like automotive, tech, energy, and healthcare face unprecedented challenges. Rising tariffs, supply chain disruptions, and shifting alliances are rapidly reshaping global markets. The key question: is there a resolution ahead, or are we entering long-term economic instability? Can diplomacy break the cycle of retaliatory tariffs, or are nations moving toward economic isolation? How will automakers adapt, and will EVs thrive or struggle in this shifting landscape? What does this all mean for the future of transportation? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear what you think about the direction this trade war is heading. And if you want to stay ahead of the curve on all things automotive, subscribe to Highway Herald for the latest vehicle updates, industry trends, and deep dives into the world of cars. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.